Howard, so tell me about your job right now. What do you work on a day to day? What are some of your projects?
Sure. So, just in terms of scope, I'm responsible for two separate but integrated groups. Um, on one hand, I'm responsible for all of the research we do for Turner Sports, and that encompasses programming, marketing, advertising, sales, and digital analytics. So, for instance, if we're interested in bidding on a new rights package for the NFL or estimating ratings for the upcoming NBA package, my group will be heavily involved in that. Um, doing Trying to help our internal clients understand cross-platform usage for something like March Madness, and integrating TV ratings with online streaming, with mobile data. So that's part of my job. The other part of my job is leading ad sales research for all of Turner, TV, digital, all of our TV brands, all of our web properties, and I tend to spend a lot of time working with my direct reports and their directs on specific products or projects. The stuff that's really top of mind today is, we're obviously a week away from our upfront presentation. One of the things we've been very successful with is the idea of baking research into our upfront deals with agencies. So we're actively pushing ideas through, and there are a couple of concepts that I'd love to talk about. Um, on the digital side, we are knee deep in what I would call sort of digital measurement chaos, um, dealing with things like demographic guarantees through Nielsen OCR or ComScore VCE, um, trying to deal with this issue of viewability for both display and video. So I actually spend a lot of my time in meetings and sort of consulting with my group so that we're providing the most impactful support we can to our internal and our external clients.
You have been in research in many different types of companies. Can you talk about the role of research, your experiences, and where you feel the role of research is today?
Yeah. Um, so I think the good news is the importance of research is growing as the world we live in gets more chaotic. Um, I believe that a good researcher is a business person who just has a very analytical approach to solving problems. And I think the more that as researchers we think about solving the client's problems, be it an internal, external client, knowing that the client at the end of the day trusts you to use good data, to use good methodology, um, and to use sound judgment, um, I think that's where research needs to go. Because, right now we're sitting on 15 complex business issues that we need to solve for our internal clients. And we don't necessarily have the time to spend 6 months thinking about something. Here's a real life example that I think everybody in my role is dealing with, which is we're hoping to sell more VOD in this year's upfront than we sold before. You got to have a measurement plan. It now involves dealing with a new company, potentially RentTrack, and we're trying to sell VOD as a part of our upfront packages, including linear TV and including streaming video. So figuring out how they all mesh together, I think the key thing is that at the end of the day, my internal clients are less concerned about how I put it together, that we put it together, and we put it together in a way that's not going to make us lose revenue or look foolish in front of a client. So I actually think the role of research is more important today. I think it's going to continue to grow. Um, one of the things I think that's interesting is I think we've all been positively. It's been a positive thing that when we distribute content through alternative means, be it NBC with the Olympics and streaming or us with March Madness and streaming, we're not at a point where any of those are cannibalizing, and you're forced to sort of analyze trade-off. In a couple of years, that may change, and you may need to think about a new distribution strategy and really understand what's the trade-off. What's the trade-off from consumer experience? What's the trade-off from overall consumption? And what's the trade-off from monetization? And in our world, monetization is two things, right? It's what our MVPD partners will pay for the content. It's what what value we provide to advertisers and what they're willing to pay for that. So I think I'm actually jealous that I'm not a 25-year-old joining Research World today, because I think between that, one of the things that was really fabulous at the SIM conference was to hear the agency people talk about the need for data practitioners. Thought Bob Ivan's point about wanting to know your math SAT scores more important than your English SAT scores, I think speaks volumes to the importance. It's a great time to be a researcher, and I don't see anything that's going to go on in the future that's going to change the interesting stuff that we get to deal with.